Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Let's go straight to our very first story this morning. In a recent turn of events in Rivers State, the sole administrator, Vice Bureau retired Ibok-Ete Ibas, has summoned suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Dr. Ngozi Ordu, to appear before him at the Government House in Port Harcourt. This was contained in a special announcement issued on Tuesday and signed by the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Ibibia Loki Warinka. Well, let's also tell you more concerning this. Now, this comes after the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajudeen, on Tuesday, while addressing the newly inaugurated 21-man committee expected to oversee the affairs of the Rivers State government, that the committee must closely monitor the activities of the sole administrator in the state, talking about Vice Admiral Ibok-Ete Ibas. Well, the Speaker also directed that the sole administrator Ibas reports to the National Assembly for legislative approvals regarding his administration's actions, as he must stay accountable.
Still speaking of Rivers State, there have been debates among Nigerian lawyers over the clash between the Rivers State government and the Nigerian Bar Association regarding a 300 million naira hosting gift for their conference. This controversy has taken center stage, with lawyers divided over the demand for a refund by the sole administrator following a change in venue. This morning, we're joined to discuss this development and more by legal practitioner Evans Ufeli. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
We'll start off by saying happy birthday and thank you for making out time to come and speak with us
on such an important day.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so many things to look at, but I think to set the tone for the conversation, let's start with the sole administrator, because even before we come to them asking for MBA's refund, that would not have happened if there wasn't a sole administrator in place. So can you speak to the legality of the sole administrator summoning an executive governor, a democratically executive governor, suspended or not?
Yeah, I think the sole administrator is becoming something other than what he was assigned to do. Because first, he does not even have the capacity or the constitutional right to occupy that office. That's one. Two, he does not have the moral justification to summon a governor. The governor of Rivers State, suspended or not, still have immunity under the 1999 Constitution. The sole administrator have no immunity, can be prosecuted if he does anything wrong. He can be sacked and prosecuted because his office is not known to the Constitution. It's outside the Constitution. The president has employed extra constitutional means to govern Rivers State, which is an impeachable offense. And the National Assembly have failed to commence that impeachable offense against the president. So once you sow the seed of illegality, it will continue to grow wild. It was Lord Denning that said that lawyers must ensure that the stream of justice is kept clean at all times. Now, the stream of justice have been polluted by politicians, okay? Their interferences into law and legality have cost us what we have today, okay? So he has no such right under any law to occupy that seat in the first place, let alone a right to summon the governor of Rivers State and her deputy. It is not even proper for us to say the suspended governor. A governor cannot be suspended. There's nowhere in the Constitution where the law says you can suspend a governor. But in Section 188, you can impeach a governor. So let's focus on the Constitution, okay? Let us not be dragged into the extra constitutional terrain that the president has dragged Rivers State into, and at the same time, journalists and lawyers, when we make our comments, we should restrict it to what is the law. We shouldn't be saying...
So, Saint Fubara is still governor.
He's still the governor. He's still the governor in the eyes of the law.
So the pushback on that might be, if we're going again back to Section 305 and talking about the fact that the president has he has a right to invoke the state of emergency, and he has exercised that right. Yes. But then what would the picture of a state of emergency look like if a governor is still, in charge?
A state of emergency is to address a problem. It is curative, okay? It's supposed to declare a state of emergency, deploy the army against those blown up pipelines. If, for example, the state of emergency declared was as to pestilence and diseases, because part of Section 305, it's not just about political crisis.
Right.
Where there are pandemics, there are different kind of diseases and all that. Would he have suspended the governor if it were to be disease and outbreak of? He wouldn't have suspended the governor. So there's no part in the law, whether political crisis, whether it's disease, whether any kind of emergency, clear and present danger, war, even in situations of war. There's nowhere in that section is supposed to suspend the governor.
Now, the National Assembly, in its wisdom, believes even the sole administrator needs some form of checks and balances. That's why it constituted this 21-man committee. That the sole administrator should liaise with him and run and then seek approval from the National Assembly. But from what we've seen in just 1 month, less than 1 month since he took office as sole administrator, we can tell the sort of temperament and then the tone of this letter he wrote summoning the executive governor of Rivers State. Do you think this 21-man committee would be able to rein him in, or, you know, remind him that, look, this is not a Navy garrison?
Yeah, you see, this 21-man committee is also illegal. Under what law now did they constitute that committee? You see, once you veer off law...
Doctrine of necessity, they will say.
No, doctrine of necessity is not law. Doctrine of necessity is not law. You are trying to apply equity to illegality. When the idea of doctrine of necessity was first muted, it was because the Constitution was silent on an issue. You have contested election, you have won, and then the person died. Or the president is incapacitated or sick, and you needed to do some things, and then that's quite clear. But here, because now, even those who appointed him are scared, because the man has become a Frankenstein. He has become a monster, literally speaking, in quotes. The tone of the letter, the way he went about sacking people, including those appointed, sponsored by Wiki for appointment. So it's beginning to look somehow. And
but in his defense, the letter was addressed by his appointed secretary to the government of the Federation.
Yeah, that's what
of the Rivers State government. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He's becoming like he's deploying the military skills that he understands. And that is why I would say that we need to nip this in the bud. He does not need that 6 months.
How do we nip it in the bud? Because, yes, I mean, as a military man, we just think, all these journalists, these people are just talking, I will do what I want to do. Because there are no provisions to also check him. Because you said you can't build illegality on illegality.
Yes, everything about him is off course, out of... I don't know what is doing there. I don't know why the people of Rivers State will continue to condone that. You voted someone in. That person has been pushed aside. A stranger has been brought to manage the affairs of the... It's not right. So there's no way you look at it. That's why it's difficult to do the analysis. Because I would like to draw, I like citing the Constitution in my analysis, so I can pull the strings. But here, you are not able to cite the Constitution.
It's hard to even see one that...
Yeah, you cannot, because the person under reference is not appointed through a constitutional means. Now, these 21 members now, they should be constituted, and they should take an oath to do the right. Under what law now did they constitute them, and under what, how? So we shouldn't govern Nigeria that way. We are not in the bush.
Let me ask very quickly. So there are talks regarding if Governor Fubara should accept the invitation. Many have said that if he accepts the invitation, he himself has also joined in the unconstitutionality of, the laws. And many have said that if he does not attend, then it also shows that he's not willing to bring peace to the state. If he were to get a legal advice, I mean, looking at it from a legal perspective, what could be the right thing to do now?
The sole administrator cannot summon a governor. Why should that be? We are deepening the crisis the more. Those 21 members should caution him. He seems not to know what he's doing. He has no moral right to occupy that in the first place. That's the much reason he should play safe. He should wake up every morning and tell himself the truth that I have no business here. However, I will have to tread carefully. That's what you should do. You should not become one monster or one. It's not allowed under any law. Under what law now is this someone in Fubara? Under what law of the constitution or the country and all that? So this thing should stop. This is wrong.
He needs to come. I mean, part of the letter, or part of the spirit of the letter, maybe might be to. I mean, it wasn't a spirit. It was actually written in the letter. He needs to come and show why he should be reinstated. The sole administrator did not put himself there. The person that put him there is the president.
Yes.
What role does the president have to play in all of this? Because the sole administrator has been criticized day in, day out. News reports, social media engagements, people of Rivers State have complained and are still complaining about the fact that the state of emergency was declared in the first place and then the sole administrator was brought in. So does the president have a role to play in all of this?
Now the question is, did the president send him to someone Fubara?
I don't think so.
That's a counter question. Now, you ask what should the president do, the person who put him there. What the president should do is to summon the affected members, both the National Assembly and Fubara, resolve the problem and remove that sole administrator. Because he is not supposed to be there in the first place. So no matter what the president, whatever the president do or does, will be wrong as long as that man is there. Because he has no law.
His primary mandate, the excuse from the presidency is, he's going there to bring about peace between, just cool tempers down. And it seems like what's going on now is only deepening the crisis. So we're even getting worse. We might end up in a situation that is worse than the envisaged.
Yes.
I kind of agree with you that
if he's going there to solve a problem, why is someone who live Fubara? Did he summon
the other party?
The National Assembly and all that. The same thing the president did is what he's doing. If you look at the proclamation that the president, that was reduced to a gazette and all that, in that proclamation, the president blamed Fubara for destroying the House of Assembly complex and then for shutting down the legislature, an arm of government and all that. He did not, in that proclamation, address Wike, who is orchestrating all the crisis that's going on there, and then the House of Assembly itself, who have creating the same problem alongside the whole thing. So he singled out Fubara. Everybody's Fubara, everybody. This man now started the same thing. He's summoning Fubara to come and do what exactly? And as what?
To explain why he should...
Why he appointed...
I think Fubara should go to court to get an injunction to restrain the sole administrator from ever calling him on anything. He has no right to do that under the law. And he does not have immunity.
So that's the way he should go now?
Yeah, the tune of the letter self is more...
respectful or disrespectful?
It's removing more of a threat.
He said the attendance is mandatory.
Yes, it's even more of like a threat. Fubara should go to the court to file a criminal complaint against him.
Just to clarify, Olive, what day is this meeting supposed to happen? Is the meeting supposed to happen?
It's tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes, tomorrow.
We'll wait and see.
All right. So I mean, in all of this, you're saying that the president ought to summon all the parties involved, resolve this crisis, remove the sole administrator, and reinstate Fubara.
Yes.
The people of River States that are complaining and although, if we're being fair, there are two divides. There are those who are supporting the sole administrator. We've seen protests and counter-protests. Protests saying that democracy must be entrenched in River State, and what they refer to as democracy, we saw the women in white, is the sole administrator being allowed to run River State.
Is that democracy?
That's what their argument is. They carried placards. Yes. On the other hand, there are women who are protesting the reinstatement of Siminalayi Fubara. Those who are supporting the sole administrator, part of the argument would be that if he's to be there for 6 months, affairs have to be run in River State. There are different things that need to be done, and government must be continued. So, talking about passing a budget, working with the budget, how will the sole administrator still be able to carry out with overseeing the activities of River State without making appointments and firing people or passing a budget? Is there a way to work around it? Is this where the National Assembly comes in?
There's no way to work around it. The National Assembly is doing a supervisory role, the role of the State House of Assembly. Okay, now, should the National Assembly approve expenditures in a state? It's not the law. The law is that the State House of Assembly were approved expenditures.
But when the State of House of Assembly is not available,
Suspended.
because they are also
They've also been
suspended.
suspended.
So does the National Assembly
That's why I'm
then
saying the president should resolve the issue and restore them. Yeah, so they know, see, you cannot
but then we
delegate,
go back to-
you cannot delegate legislature. You cannot delegate it. Now, what we have is just one man without any other check.
Yeah, but the
And you are surprised why he has become the way. Yes, you are surprised. Why are you surprised?
But the issue has not been resolved. The State House of Assembly is at loggerheads with the governor, and if the president reinstates him, we're back to status quo. How do we get out of this quagmire?
What I mean is, the president should call all parties affected and resolve the issue. The one he did before, which he referred to in his proclamation, was not a settlement. You only call Fubara and say, go and undo this, go and do this, go and pay them salary.
It wasn't holistic.
Yeah, it was sending for us like an errand boy. Go and withdraw your case. Fubara withdrew his own. The lawmaker did not withdraw theirs. And at the end of the day, he's still the one being blamed for all the everything he was asked to go and do, he did. The lawmakers didn't do anything, and that you are still blaming him. Even in the proclamation, you have blamed him. You took side. The president should not take side. It's wrong. He took side in this whole thing, and they should stop that. It should, resolve this issue properly, and then pull out from this illegality where we are back to, the status quo, so that you can have a smooth running government. This is not a government.
Now, from one letter to another letter, I think the sole administrator has a talent for writing letters these days. He's written to the NBA, and he said Nigerian Bar Association. For our international viewers that might think we're talking about basketball. This is not basketball. He said they should return the money, 300 million naira, and the NBA says, look, it's a gift to them, an unconditional gift. So is there a legally binding agreement between the NBA and River State regarding this 300 million naira?
It was not a contract. In contracts, you have the promise A and the promise C. Okay? Under the law, gratuitous promises, once they are fulfilled, you cannot ask for a reversal. Gratuitous promises. Now, the same way a gratuitous promise, if it's not kept, you cannot go to court against the adverse party because there's no consideration furnished. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying, but what I'm saying in effect is that, in my estimation, it was not a contract. It's not only River State that sponsor NBA. Every other state that deem it fit and necessary sponsor the NBA. Okay? And so if he's asking that the money be refunded, I agree, but he does not have the moral justification to make that application.
They say it's River State taxpayers' money.
No, he cannot, because his government is not a continuation of Fubara's government. Government is a continuum. When I have served 4 years, or when I have served some number of years and I was impeached, or I have served, my tenure has expired by a fraction of time, another governor comes up, he can orchestrate what this man is doing.
Okay.
He cannot, his government is not, he doesn't even have a government. This is difficult to analyze. He doesn't even have a government. He doesn't have a government, so he doesn't even have the justification to request for. In my estimation, that money is small money to MBA, very small money.
Oh, wow.
We're talking about this here. It's expensive to host a conference.
It's expensive, very expensive. And as an MBA chairman, you are as huge as a minister. If you don't know, I'm revealing it. You are as big as a minister, or even bigger. So, I mean, how many lawyers in the country? Do you know how much we pay for the conference as lawyers every year? Both dues and for the conference itself. And do you know how many lawyers are in the country? That is very small money. A state in Nigeria can generate that money through MBA dues. A state.
Just one of 36
Yeah,
states.
it's small money. MBA should take it, guys, give them.
So you think MBA should return the money to them?
Yes.
They should return it, but the man in question does not have the moral right to ask for it.
So if the man doesn't have the moral right to ask for it,
Doesn't have the right to ask for it. For me, in my estimation, I don't think it's not a contract. NBA need not return it. But me, on my moral standing, I will ask that it's a negligible amount of money that should be thrown back to them.
right?
Because the moment that fund was given to NBA before the state of emergency was declared.
Absolutely.
The moment the state of emergency was declared, Rivers State was desecrated and made unfit for the conference. Now we have international speakers, we have judges coming from outside the country, all over the world, all over the globe. So you're going to assemble them, and a sole administrator will come and declare the event open. In the tradition of the NBA, it is the governor of the state that receives lawyers, declare the event open, and then the conference will commence. You understand? In the case of that reference, we don't have a governor there because you forcefully suspended him.
Against
So
the law.
so how do you expect? You know, this thing is right in their eyes that the sole administrator is the one governing the state. Therefore, it should be right before everybody. But we are lawyers. The NBA has made a statement that you cannot do this. The constitution not permit it. So why should we now take the conference there when the constitution that we ought to defend have been soiled by politicians? Lawyers don't behave like politicians. Lawyers are not politicians. No matter the criticism, you can go to the high heavens to criticize lawyers. But the last thing they will ever do is to follow you to your route of illegality. Lawyers are not perfect, but they strive to do what is right.
Right.
And that's exactly what we are saying. You cannot force the NBA into this whole thing. In my estimation, that money should be returned because it's more money. It shouldn't even be an issue for debate, even though it wasn't a gift. It wasn't a gift. There was no contract that was signed. It was the hosting right fee, whatever they are calling it. You know, it's not.
So it was just a contribution to.
It was a contribution. The Mercator Foundation. You know how much they gave to NBA 3 years ago, the NBA conference? International organizations. Because, you see, the NBA conference addressed a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And when these issues are addressed, because the NBA is not a National Assembly, the House of Assembly, all these issues are addressed and recommendations are made. And they are all reduced into writing and submitted to government for implementation. So it's a critical institution. You understand? I know how you criticize, that's fine, but it's a critical institution. It has a function and a duty. It cannot follow you into your illegality. You can't do that.
Okay, the NBA has made a very strong stance. First of all, the NBA was very vocal from the jump criticizing the state of emergency declaration in Rivers State. And now it's not just, it's working the talk. It's not just talking, you know, by, of course, relocating the NBA conference from Rivers State to Enugu State. But one person who's also a lawyer, I mean, you say lawyers don't always get it right, but they always try to do the right thing. But the chief lawyer in this case, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, has spoken in support of the declaration of the actions by the President of declaration of state of emergency. So how does his action and, you know, his stance play out in terms of the broader view of the NBA? And is this something that you think will come up at the convention?
His stand is wrong. He suffers from what I call partisan obscurantism. He was unable to see beyond his appointment. And see, an Attorney General of the Federation, that's why it's called Attorney General, not Attorney General of the President. His function really is to go to court, file case on behalf of Nigerians against the government. That's his duty. Yes. In civilized clan where the Attorney General of the Federation is elected, not appointed, an Attorney General of the Federation, his function is to defend the rights and obligations of citizens and not to defend the president's illegality.
So have we been getting this all wrong all the time?
It's wrong. It's wrong. See, let me tell you, I'm not the kind of lawyer that will come and start to solve because I should be scared of somebody. I don't do it. With due respect to him, he was wrong when he made the statement that the president's in order, everything is in order. No. he didn't cite one law, case law, or statute to support what he was saying. As Attorney General, he should have given us maybe even historical antecedents, or maybe start the sciences.
So you think what he offered was personal opinion?
It was personal opinion, but it was wrong, very wrong. His opinion is not supported by the Constitution.
Now, the Rivers State government is planning to take legal actions against the NBA after issuing the first warning, return this money. They're saying they might have to take legal means to get back Rivers State taxpayers' money. Is the NBA ready to go that route, or you feel it shouldn't get there?
Yeah, I'm not speaking for the NBA. I'm a member. I'm not even a principal member. Okay, I'm not in their school. Okay, so I'm speaking as a lawyer. I'm not speaking for NBA. Now, if they want to go to court, I have my stand is that the money is not what you should keep. I mean, you just go and return. But if they want to go ahead, if NBA, the school decide that they want to go ahead, Rivers State will not win. Rivers State will not win. That I'm sure.
Because the feelers we're getting now is the NBA saying they won't return that money.
Yeah, that they made a statement that they won't return it. Because under what contractual agreement are you going to determine that money we keep, Because I just spoke on the basis of morality.
Yeah.
For law is different.
Yeah.
For law, you have to clarify these things and put them in legal context. Okay, where's the contract? Okay, so that we could say because of the failure of performance, we should ask for specific performance because they not carry out their own side of the bargain. Then we should ask for where's the contract? Was there a contract? Was there any other obligation that should warrant that
be sorted? Yeah, anyway, so NBA said they're not refunding. There's a threat of going to court. But all of this leads us back again to the conversation about the NBA conference, which is happening in Enugu State at the moment. That's the current plan. What do you think will form the core of the conversations at the NBA conference this year?
Well, usually they're about legal issues that have run through over the years. Last year, this year, legal issues that have, like this issue now of a state of emergency will form a high chunk of the discourse. Okay? Some of the issues on the economy, and human rights. We have a speaker from South Africa who is a known human rights activist. We all know him and is coming to the conference. And we have other too. You see, it's not just a Nigerian affair. It's a global affair, but a huge chunk of it addresses the issues in Nigeria. And, recommendations are made and all that. It's a high-power conference, okay, that requires a lot. The government should see to it that every year you are able to have this conference because solutions are provided and very good angles on issues are made available, okay? And the government can take advantage of it and do what they ought to do to ensure that the lives of the citizens are made better. Okay, so it will be on different syndicate sections, there are general sections, there are a lot of issues for the conference.
All right.
I'd like us to look at, in line with what we've been discussing concerning the sole administrator and, of course, what's happening in Rivers State. It happens to be that some of the politicians are also lawyers. And a question was asked sometime that why is it that the rule of law, or better still, the politicians fail to apply the laws, especially when they are governing? Is it that when a lawyer becomes a governor or takes the office of ruling, he therefore does not try to apply what the principles of the laws are?
Or he forgets.
Or he forgets.
No, not that he forgets. Politics is a very dangerous thing. Very dangerous. Now, you see what's happening to the Attorney General Federation? That's exactly what you are talking about. A lawyer can be a governor and then begin to, it's not beclouded. It's called partisan obscurantism. You are obscured. You are not able to think again.
I mean, because the Senate President, of course, we do hear, of course, is a lawyer.
He is. Then you look at his action and compare it with that of a lawyer.
Okay.
Whether it tallies.
So what is just,
okay, I wanted to say something about the NBA conference before we move on. Quite a number of Nigerians are watching us, and I haven't had our discussions and the 300 million, and you saying, you know, the NBA generates way more than that in dues. You know, quite a number of us think in money terms. I say, you know, all this exercise that at the NBA conference is not just a talk shop, that of all those recommendations that you've given in the past year, why is our judiciary still the way it is? And just in recent past, we saw minors, obvious minors, just looking at them visually, they were charged for treason until Mr. President said, you know, this is quite embarrassing. Please let them go. And it was the same lawyers that charged these minors to court. How do you respond to
it was the Attorney General. He was doing it to please the president. Who now said, please, just don't do this. That's why, you see, if you want to practice well and live long, don't take appointment from government. The government that
as a lawyer or in general?
As a lawyer, because you can see, if not for lawyers or if not for the law, this country would have been destroyed a long time ago. See how they captured the masses. It didn't take time before they captured the masses. Every election now, you cannot determine the validity or otherwise from the masses. Look at Rivers State, look at the counter-protest. Those people were sponsored. Poverty destroys everything. The Holy Read said, a rich man's wealth is a strong city.
Yeah.
The destruction of the poor is their poverty. They will sponsor a counter-protest. They will do vote buying. They will do all sorts to soil democracy. They captured the people clearly. They moved, when they discovered that capturing the people is not enough, that the judiciary have a tendency and a proclivity to, during election petition, make radical judgments that may affect them, they now move into the judiciary. Okay?
So the battle is still ongoing?
Yeah, that's where they are now. And by the time they capture the judiciary fully, the public that criticizes the judiciary, they will not see the voice any longer to criticize the judiciary when the judiciary is fully swallowed.
Well, it's why a number of them would actually even, after building their careers in politics or in the legislature or whatever, would then go back to study law because they need to understand to see if there's a way that they can manipulate it for their favor. But I mean, these are ongoing conversations, and I'm sure that there'll be an update in Rivers State, and then we can have you again look at the legal perspective to this. But thank you so much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.